South Africa, a land of beauty, resources, and a complex history. It's a story marked by a period of deep racial segregation and discrimination known as apartheid. From 1948, this system gripped the nation, enforced by the white minority government. Apartheid, an Afrikaans word meaning separateness, went beyond mere physical separation. It was a system designed to relegate non-white South Africans to a position of permanent subservience to the white minority. This wasn't just about separate spaces, it was about unequal power. The roots of apartheid can be traced back to the colonial era, to policies that favored white settlers. However, the formal system took hold after the 1948 election victory of the National Party, which campaigned on a platform of racial segregation. This election marked the beginning of a dark chapter in South Africa's history, a chapter that would see the country become a pariah state, condemned by the international community. The edifice of apartheid was built on a foundation of discriminatory laws. The Population Registration Act of 1950 classified every citizen by race, forcing people into rigid categories. This classification determined every aspect of their lives, from where they could live and work to whom they could marry. The Group Areas Act of 1950, one of the most hated pieces of legislation, enforced residential segregation. It led to the forced removals of millions of black South Africans from their homes, uprooting them to segregated townships far from economic opportunities. Education, too, was used as a tool of oppression. The Bantu Education Act of 1953 designed a deliberately inferior education system for black South Africans, intended to limit their opportunities for advancement. This system of legal discrimination created a society starkly divided along racial lines, where opportunity and freedom were privileges reserved for the few. The imposition of apartheid ignited a powerful resistance movement. Leaders like Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, and Oliver Tambo emerged, challenging the system's injustice. The African National Congress, once a voice of peaceful protest, adopted armed struggle as a means to fight for liberation. Nelson Mandela, a lawyer turned revolutionary, became a symbol of this resistance. His imprisonment in 1964 only amplified his voice, turning him into an international icon of the anti-apartheid struggle. The struggle against apartheid wasn't confined to the borders of South Africa. Figures like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, a vocal critic of the regime, rallied international support. Tutu's unwavering commitment to nonviolent resistance earned him the Nobel Peace Prize in 1984, shining a global spotlight on the injustices of apartheid. Section 4. The world takes a stand, global pressure and internal strife. As the years passed, the brutality of the apartheid regime faced increasing condemnation. International sanctions, boycotts and divestment campaigns began to bite, putting pressure on the South African government. Inside South Africa, the resistance movement gained momentum. Township uprisings, student protests and strikes crippled the country. The government responded with increasing violence, further fueling the flames of resistance. The unbanning of the ANC and other liberation movements in 1990 marked a turning point. It paved the way for negotiations with the government, leading to the release of Nelson Mandela after 27 years of imprisonment. Section 5, A Free South Africa Legacy and the Long Road Ahead. On April 27, 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections. The image of people of all races queuing together to cast their votes marked the end of apartheid and the dawn of a new era. The legacy of apartheid continues to cast a long shadow over South Africa. While the country has made significant strides in addressing the injustices of the past, the economic and social disparities born of apartheid persist. The journey towards a truly equal and just South Africa is ongoing. It requires confronting the systemic inequalities that still linger, from poverty and unemployment to unequal access to education and healthcare. The spirit of Ubuntu, a Nguni Bantu term emphasizing humanity and interconnectedness, guides this journey, reminding South Africans that their fates are intertwined.